Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Steve Adubato. It is our honor to welcome Mr. Ray Kelly, the former commissioner of police in the great city of New York and the author of Vigilance, My Life Serving America and Protecting Its Empire City. Commissioner, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
This book, powerful message, not just about vigilance, but about your life. When did you know that law enforcement would be your professional life?
What happened is I joined a new program called the Police Cadet Program when I was in college. I was going to Manhattan College. I had three older brothers, all in the Marine Corps, so I had no choice. I was going to go in the Marine Corps after college, but I needed a part-time job, and I was working in Macy's. My mother was working in Macy's, and she got me a part-time job in Macy's. I said, I wanted to do something else. So I saw an advertisement for a police cadet program, which is an effort to get matriculating college students into policing. So I was in the first class of the cadet program, and I guess I really became fascinated by it. That was in the police academy.
That's the academy.
That's after that's when I graduated from the police academy. It was after my active duty time in the Marine Corps. But it's been great for me. I've enjoyed every minute of it, some more than others, but I had great experiences.
Was it your dream to be at some point the commissioner?
No. I never thought of that. No, I wanted to be a sergeant.
That was I want to be a sergeant.
Well, I wanted to advance somewhat. I was going to law school at night and working as a police officer, and I wanted to be promoted to sergeant. And then, things sort of fell into place. As I say, I love the department. I love the work, the adrenaline flow, the opportunity to make a difference, even in a sort of a micro situation in precincts. You're able to affect people's lives. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it was not any part of a grand scheme or plan to become commissioner.
Commissioner, there's a part of the book that I'm fascinated by. It's really the second commissioner run, if you will. Describe the two situations.
Well, I was a commissioner for a little over a year and a half under Mayor Denkins. Lee Brown was the commissioner. He selected me to be the number 2 person, first deputy commissioner. Lee Brown's wife became very ill. She later passed away. Lee had to leave the city, went back to Houston, and Mayor Denkins appointed me police commissioner. It was a different time. There was a lot of crime in the city. I think we made inroads there. But when I became the commissioner the second time, asked by Mayor Bloomberg to do that, the mayor was elected 56 days after 9/11. So we had a very broad agenda. If you remember that time, awful lot of gloom and doom. People were predicting, the world was going to fall apart. So the Mayor Bloomberg, had an awful lot on his plate. We knew that we had to do something to sort of raise the comfort level of the people, and we wanted to do something substantively as well. So we did a lot of things. We made a lot of changes early on. We created a counterterrorism bureau. We brought in a lot of experts from federal government, other places. We created an analytical corps that was second to none, in my opinion. We stationed our police officers overseas to act as tripwires and listening posts to help better protect New York. So we did a lot of things, and the mayor was in office for 12 years, and those 12 years went very fast. It's just kind of amazing what happened. And Mayor Bloomberg deserves an awful lot of credit. You think of what was in front of him when he took office and how the city was when he left.
As I read the book in that section, you're talking about getting your people together. And you're actually really describing, Commissioner, literally an organizational chart that you're putting together, and you're literally describing boxes and charts and graphs. And how hands-on were you in being the architect of what needed to be done?
Well, I was very hands-on. Some people complain about that and talk about micromanagers.
Did you feel it was necessary at that time?
Yeah, well, this is a vision I had in my head, and I had to translate it to paper, to nuts and bolts, so it could be carried out. So, that I think was important for me to do. I had experience. I was in the federal government. I had been an undersecretary in President Clinton's administration. I had been the U.S. Customs Commissioner. I'm a lawyer, and those sorts of things all sort of came together, I think, at the time to help me sort of translate this vision into something that was workable.
Commissioner, beyond all the charts and the graphs and the boxes, from an emotional, you always struck me from a distance. And by the way, Greg Kelly, your son, was in here literally an hour ago from Fox 5 talking about his growing up in your household. He actually said that you were going to have a hard act to follow, that he was here. You think that's true, by the way?
I agree.
Yeah, you're a proud dad. But I got to ask you this. You've always struck me as such a straight shooter. I don't know if it's the Marine background, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to ask you from a personal point of view, from a human point of view, the responsibility over those years post 9/11 that you felt protecting this city. What was that like for you on a personal human level?
Well, I think you get used to the pressure fairly early on, and it kind of becomes is part of the territory.
Really?
For me, I'm basically a 7-day worker. I didn't take a vacation.
Where'd that come from?
In 12 years. I think it was a sense of urgency, that, think about the way things were a year, 2 years, 3 years after 9/11. We were very concerned about another event happening. The Iraq War was ongoing. Was there going to be retaliation here? Those sorts of things. And of course, as time went on, everybody got a little bit more relaxed. I don't think we did. I don't think the police department did. But you do sort of get used to the pressures and the demands of the job.
Are we vigilant enough, Commissioner, as citizens?
Well, there are no guarantees. You do what you can do. I think New York City has done more than any other city in the world to protect itself from a terrorist attack. But we have maybe 10 million people a day in New York City on a business day. We're an open city. We have lots of events going on. We have 3 major airports in the area. So lots of people coming and going. You cannot guarantee anything in this anti-terrorism or counterterrorism regimen that we've put in place here, that the federal government has put in place here. But as I say, New York is doing more than any place else.
Commissioner, talk about policing itself and how policing has changed. I'm curious about something, and we're not going to date ourselves. We're taping this in May of 2016. We never tried to hide when we tape things, and we try for things to be evergreen, but things happen in the news all the time. Commissioner, you've thought a lot about and you wrote a lot about relationships between the police and the community. Why is there so much tension, in your view, between some in the police department and some in the minority community, and what the heck could make it better?
Well, in the mega sense, I actually think relationships between the police and minority communities are better, certainly much better than when I became a police officer. In a way, there's always going to be some tension.
Is it natural?
What we ask police officers to do. They are the bearers of bad news. They are authorized by the law to use physical force, sometimes deadly force. They give you traffic summonses. So it's a demanding job, a difficult job, and there's always going to be areas of tension. You have to work at the relationships with the community every day. There are certain things that you try to do, but again, there's always the possibility of some event happening. Police officers have to make difficult decisions. Certainly, sometimes they make mistakes. They're human beings. So you have to be ready to respond to that. Now, we've seen a rash of really terrible incidents captured by cell phone cameras. And we saw you can only call it a murder, of Walter Scott in North Charleston, South Carolina, where he was shot in the back when he was running away. We've seen other, bad events as far as the police are concerned. From my experience, having been in the business well over 40 years, I think the police in this country have done a remarkable job, certainly over the last 2 decades. Crime is down dramatically, but those types of events can really set back the relationships between the police and the community significantly. So commanders, commissioners, chiefs are always trying to improve the relationship with the community. I think the advent of cameras, police officer, yeah, I think
good
so.
thing.
I didn't always think it was, but that shooting of Walter Scott in North Carolina, I said to myself, no rational human being would take that action if he were wearing a camera.
So body cameras for police, a good thing.
Yeah. Now, virtually everybody over 10 years of age has a camera these days. So much of what the police do is going to be recorded anyway. And so much of what you see in these videos is 2/3 of an event or half an event. So the police have cameras. You have potentially capturing the whole event. And I think it will sort of restore some of the trust that has been taken away as a result of these events.
Commissioner, I want to ask you this question about leadership, because so much of this book is about leadership. I ask leaders of all stripes the most significant lesson they've learned about leadership. What's the number one leadership lesson you've learned?
Integrity. There are 14 Marine traits that I've learned in the Marine Corps, leadership traits, and I have them in my head. But the number one is integrity, personal integrity. You know, you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. And a lot of people say, do as I say, not as I do approach to life. That's not what real leaders are expected to do or should be doing. So, you have to be honest in all ways, honest with yourself, honest with the people who work for you.
K2 Intelligence, what is it?
It is a cutting-edge company started by Jules Kroll and Jeremy Kroll. Jules is an icon in the business investigation and intelligence business. Great cyber capacity here and in Israel. We do construction monitoring, anti-money laundering work, physical security assessments, and I like it. I'm having fun, and good people there.
Last question. Of all the things you've done in your public life, your extraordinary career, what are you most proud of?
Gee, that's a tough question. I have been fortunate enough to have a long public career. I guess perhaps setting up the... we started under the rubric of 3 C's in the Bloomberg administration, crime suppression, counterterrorism, and community relations. And I think after our 12 years, we accomplished an awful lot in all 3 of those areas. The last year of the Bloomberg administration, the police department had a 70% approval rating. I had a 75% approval rating. Not easy to do after 11 and a half years. So, I'm proud of those things and proud of the work the men and women of the department did for me.
Commissioner, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Steve. Good to be with you.
Stay right there.
Appreciate it.
The book is called Vigilance, My Life Serving America and Protecting Its Empire City. The author is a very special New Yorker and a special American, Ray Kelly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey, Bergen Community College, New Jersey Council of County Colleges, Delta Dental of New Jersey, Partners for Health Foundation, the Fidelco Group, and by the Russell Berry Foundation. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.